What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Ben Ballion, back with another episode of the Sports Pod. And today, I'm going to get into Juan Soto's recent signing with your New York Mets. I love it. I absolutely love it. And before I hit the intro, if you want to leave a voicemail with your sports questions and takes, you can do so at 848-305-8073, and I will react to them on the Sports Pod. All right, I'll get into all of it on the other side of the intro. Hit it.
DiVincenzo at three. Bang! Bang!
Got the wall. He jumps. It's gone. He did it. He did it. Pete Alonso with the most memorable home run of his career.
All right, getting into the episode. And before I do that, I just want to say that I did a live stream last night as soon as Soto signed, maybe 20 minutes after, just giving my raw reaction. So go check that out. It's posted on my YouTube channel after you've watched this episode. All right, let's get into it. Let me just start with Juan Soto's age. He's 26 years old. He's one of the best free agents we've ever seen in MLB history. And I think he's the best pure hitter in the MLB, period, stop. I think he's better than Aaron Judge. I think he's better than Shohei Ohtani. I think he's a better hitter. His knack for knowing the strike zone, for going up the other way, for spraying the ball around the field, hitting for power, hitting for average, getting on base. He is so good at hitting. I'm a huge Mets fan. Everybody knows that watching this. I watch Yankees games, and I don't like the Yankees. And I'm just like, and I'm like, man, this dude, Juan Soto, can hit the ball. Like, he is so good at hitting. He's better than Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge really just hits homers. I know he had a 325 batting average, but you got to look at the batted like balls in play. Most of them went for home runs, which it's not necessarily a bad thing, but Juan Soto does a lot more than just hit homers. And he has some pop as well. And the other thing is that Juan Soto excels hitting at Citi Field. All time among players with, I think, 100 at-bats at Citi Field, Juan Soto leads in OPS by 180 points. 180 OPS points. That's ridiculous. He had a stretch, a 10-game stretch where at Citi Field, he had a 2,000 OPS. What? He absolutely mashes at Citi Field. I think that probably played into his decision a little bit. Like, he wants to go to a park where he has historically hit well, whether it was with the Nationals, and he knows Citi Field well. He played with the Nationals before, like the balanced schedules. He played with the Padres. He played with the Padres, I think, during that wild card series. But if not, he played with them the next year, and he played in Citi Field then. He also hit a homer with the Yankees in Citi Field this past year. Like, every time he's in Citi Field, he just goes off. Juan Soto is a pure hitter. He's so good at hitting, and now let me get to the contract. Do I think it's an overpay? I do not think the Juan Soto contract's an overpay. You are what the market says you are. And the market was saying Soto's around that $760 million mark. The Mets had to up the offer a little bit because he was going for top dollar. And if the Mets weren't paying him top dollar, he wasn't going to go to the Mets. That's the facts. That's plain and simple. So I'm not mad at Steve Cohen for giving him $765 million. It's an unheard of amount. But with the opt-out after year 5, if Soto decides to opt out, the Mets are going to have to think about it. Do we want to up the AAV to $55 million? I think at that point, the market's going to be saturated a little bit more, and $55 million might not be as crazy. So I don't think it's an overpay whatsoever, and the Mets had an awesome deal getting Juan Soto. And Steve Cohen and David Stearns really did what they had to do. From the start, it was always Steve Cohen's willing to do whatever it takes to sign Juan Soto. Steve Cohen won't get outmatched. And I never thought he would. My thinking on it was going into it, I'm okay if he goes somewhere else but the Mets had the top offer. But if the Mets don't have the top offer and he goes to the top offer, I'm going to be bad because I know Steve Cohen is the richest owner in baseball, and he should be able to sign Juan Soto. And that's the other thing with Cohen being the richest owner. This contract is not going to limit his financial flexibility and David Stearns' his budget over the next however long it is, the next 15 years, because the money is not a problem at all for Steve Cohen. Steve Cohen, money's just an object. It's just a piece of paper to him. He's not worried about paying Soto $765 million, because if the Mets end up winning a World Series or they're consistently in the NLCS, the Mets are gonna make that money back. Like, that's the thing. They're gonna make money. It's not like they're losing money because of Soto's contract. And they're still gonna be in on top free agents like Sean Manaea, like Pete Alonso, like Corbin Burns, like Max Fried, like Devin Williams, like Tanner Scott. There's so many guys that are out there. And what I think the Mets need to do, they need one more top-of-the-line pitcher, whether that is a Max Fried or a Corbin Burns or a Sean Manaea. I want Sean Manaea on a 4-year, $100 million contract. I think that's what he's going to get paid. I think that'll get the job done for the Mets. But I also want one more corner infielder. I know I was down on Pete a lot this year, but I kind of want him back. I want to bring him back. The problem is, I think at that point, the Mets aren't going to go to $200 million. Like, they'll go up to 150, 155, but that's going to be their max. And I've had this feeling that the Cubs are going to give him a huge contract for a long time now. I think that he'll be closer to 200, probably in that 180 to 190 mark. If he took a pay cut to come back to the Mets, that would be quite awesome. So you need a top-of-the-line pitcher for your rotation. You need a corner infielder. I think you need another back end of the rotation guy. You can never have too many pitchers, and one more back end of the rotation guy would not hurt at all. And then you need probably 2 or 3 bullpen arms. 2 or 3 bullpen. Like I said, you can never have enough pitching. The Mets bullpen was a little bit lackluster last year in the sense that they were constantly exhausted. I felt like it was the same 3 or 4 guys that were pitching in every game. They never got to rest. I want to see what Daniel Nunez is going to be. I want to see if Reed Garrett can have a really good year. I want to see what Jose Butto looks like in another full season out of the bullpen. Can Edwin Diaz have another big-time year? Can he get right after he was a little bit rocky towards the end of last year? Can he get his control under control? Do the Mets eventually move Clay Holmes to the bullpen? Like, there are a lot of question marks with the Mets. Don't get me wrong, Juan Soto is an awesome signing, but there is still so much work to do from David Stearns. He has to be incredibly active. And now this week and next week and really before the new year is when all these free agents are going to start to sign. Juan Soto was the big ticket. He was the big fish. He was going to be the first domino to fall. I'm surprised Willie Adames signed before him, but now all the other guys are going to start to sign. The Alex Bregmans, the Pete Alonsos, all the pitchers. And we'll see. David Stearns has to be in on all of them. And if this was the old Yankees, they would have signed Soto 100%. They would have given him $780 million, 100%. They wouldn't have let that guy go. And for a Yankee fan's perspective, especially like a Yankee fan around my age, you've never seen the Yankees not get their top free agent. Like, this is the first time the Yankees haven't gotten their guy. It's always been with whether it was George or even Hal has been pretty solid about it. They've always retained their guys if they wanted them to. I don't know, like Bryce Harper and Manny Machado, that's a little bit different because they never played for the Yankees. But if it was like a Yankee that played for them, I don't know. I don't even have a good example of it. Let me think. I don't know. But if it was someone like that, who had played for the Yankees, like a Juan Soto, they would always get that player. And are the tides turning in MLB and MLB in New York? Are the Mets going to become the big brothers? I think it's changing a little bit. I don't think it's going to be as much like we saw this year. The Mets dominated the Subway Series. I don't really think the Subway Series means anything, but they were better. They were better when they faced off against each other. And if they saw each other in the World Series, the Mets would have won, and I will still stand by that. But the Dodgers were definitely the best team in the MLB. That's how it's supposed to be. They have so much pitching, and that's the other thing. The Mets still have so much work to do, especially just to get out of the National League. The Dodgers are so good. They have so much pitching. Their rotation is stacked from top to bottom. Shohei Ohtani, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Tyler Glasnow, whatever's left of Clayton Kershaw, Tony Gonsolin. I think Roki Sasaki's going to the Dodgers. He wants to he's an Asian player. I think he wants to team up with like a couple stars of the rotation in Shohei Ohtani and Yamamoto that were also coming over from Asia. So like that's got to play into it, and it's gonna be where he wants to play because he can only make so much money. He can't make that much. So it's gonna be really where he wants to play. He's gonna get the max amount of money wherever he goes. I think that's a given at this point. And for the Soto money, just getting back to that a little bit, I didn't expect it to get above 700 million. At first, it started at 600. And then when it went to 650, I was like, okay, it'll probably get up to like 655, 670 at most. And then the reports came out that everybody, all the teams were at 700. I'm like, holy cow, this is gonna be the biggest deal ever. And then teams are at 750, and then the Mets have offered 800 million. And I'm like, geez, I know it doesn't matter to King Cohen, but like, that's a massive amount of money for one player. Like I said earlier, though, the money doesn't matter to Cohen. It's just a piece of paper. And I like what the Mets did with the opt-outs. I like how they added that one after year 5. They have Soto, if you want to leave, we will thank you for your service, or we'll up the AAV if the market saturates, and we'll have you for another 10 years. But like as his career goes on, he's already not a great defender. So eventually he's either going to be moved to first base or he's going to be a DH. And the thing with guys like Soto, hitting ages well. You look at Albert Pujols, you look at Miguel Cabrera, and these are real comparisons. Like Juan Soto is going to be better than these guys. I think he's going to age well. Like he's never hurt. Just 2 years ago in 2023, he played all 162 games. This past year, he played 157. He plays 155 plus games, it seems like, every year. So you can count on him to be available, and you can count on him to perform when he's available. I don't think he's going to like have injury struggles. I don't think that's like in the cards for him. And especially like, I think the Mets will go to him as a DH sooner rather than later, because there are going to be better guys come at like defensive guys coming up through the system. The Mets system is absolutely loaded right now. They were trying Ronnie Mauricio out in left and right field. Jet Williams can play the outfield. I doubt Ronnie Mauricio plays it. I think he'll get a shot at third base eventually. I don't want to see Brett Beatty. I would like to see him package in a trade for that, either that other corner outfielder or other corner infielder rather, and or the pitcher and more prospects. Like Brett Beatty, I'm done with him. He's gotten 3 real chances at the major league level, and he hasn't performed a single time. It's enough with Brett Beatty. He's had his chances. It's not like Mark Vientos where you were shortchanging him every time he was up. No, he got extended periods of run, and he never proved himself. The Mets system is loaded, though. They have the prospects. And going back to the pitching side of the ball, they're going to need an ace at some point. The David Stearns patchwork method will only work for so long. They're going to need an ace. And that ace will come up through the system. He's not going to be a free agent that David Stearns splashes on and splurges on. That ace is going to be like a Jacob deGrom. He's going to come up through the Mets system. He's going to play at every level of the Mets minor league, every Mets minor league team, and he's going to be the ace, and he's going to dominate for a long time. And David Stearns will retain him because that's what David Stearns does. He knows how to develop pitching. He knows how to analyze pitching, and he knows which guys are going to be real good. He did it with Corbin Burns. He did it with Josh Hader. He did it with Devin Williams. He did it with Brandon Woodruff. Like the list goes on and on of all the guys he had in Milwaukee that came up through their system. David Stearns is one of the best general managers in the sport, and I'm so happy that he's with the Mets now. But getting back to the Soto stuff, because this episode is about Soto, for this contract, like, you had to get it done. You had to sign Soto, and from a Steve Cohen perspective, this is Steve Cohen proving his worth. This is Steve Cohen showing like, yeah, I went out and I signed a bunch of guys in 2022, but that was just me being aggressive and trying to prove I'm King Cohen, and all those guys are pretty much gone now. This is a guy and Juan Soto, that he's going to be with us for the next 15 years. Him and Francisco Lindor are going to be the top two guys on this team for the next 8-9 years, potentially longer. And this is the one that I can't miss on. And he did what he had to do. He signed. He gave Juan Soto the money. He opened the checkbook real wide. He went deep into the checkbook for this one for Juan Soto. I think it's going to be worth it. Like what Juan Soto brings to the table, and the fact that he mashes at Citi Field. He's going to be playing 81 games there a year. He just mashes overall. He's such a great hitter. His swag, his flair. He's going to fit in with the Mets clubhouse. I don't think it's going to be like the same Mets clubhouse as it is, but like him and Francisco Lindor have a pre-existing relationship. They are already friends. So I think like the Mets chemistry is just going to be up there again. And the Mets, they're going to be good. They're going to be good. But the thing is, the Dodgers are going to be in the way for all 15 years. Not all 15 years necessarily, but they're going to be in the way for the next 10 years. And at that point, that's when Francisco Lindor's contract is up. Lindor's contract is up in less than 10 years, but that's when Soto's probably going to start his decline. Like the Dodgers are going to be in the way this whole time while the Mets are trying to get to the World Series. The Mets just have to find a way to get the guys they want, build a team that's going to compete with the Dodgers. They're going to be in the NLCS consistently, and hopefully they break through one year. That's all you can hope for as a Mets fan. All right, that's going to do it for this episode. If you enjoyed, please consider following or subscribing based on the platform you listen to if you want to have your sports questions and takes featured on the Sports Pod, leave me a voicemail at 848-305-8073. That's 848-305-8073. Also, make sure you check out the links in the description below. They are links to my socials where I post more bonus content than what you see here. All right, and last but not least, make sure you keep it locked with the Sports Pod.